Welcome back. You just created your first classic tweened animation. I gave you step-by-step instructions and hopefully you were able to follow them okay. And you should be feeling pretty good about the fact that you are now an animator. Well, now it's time that I actually teach you something, alright? This next lesson is very important, alright? It's sort of one of these foundational lessons that you really need to have under your skin to really understand what we're going to be doing moving forward, alright? I'm going to be breaking down to you exactly how to read the Animate CC Timeline. We're going to talk about frames, keyframes, and blank keyframes. Now, this is not the most elegant, wonderful stuff in the world, and I want to reiterate that throughout this course, I teach it in very much the same way I would as if you came next to me at work and said, "Hey, Carl, teach me about keyframes," all right? I wouldn't open up an FLA with an octopus roller skating with laser guns and stuff. No, I'd open up a blank FLA, draw some scrappy stuff on the screen, and really try to illustrate to you what's happening in each keyframe, blank keyframe, and regular frame. So in this exercise, I'm just going to walk you through it how I would anybody, and I'm hoping to really just narrow down the exact things you need to know about these concepts. So I've created this handy timeline frame legend, which you can print out, hang on your wall, and the whole point of this lesson is to decipher this for you, okay? We'll talk about frames, keyframes, blank keyframes, and potential frames. I'm going to walk you through all these different things so that when we get into doing some real animation in the next lesson, you're going to know exactly how to read the timeline and you're going to feel comfortable. All right, so let's get into it. So to start our journey through reading the timeline and all the different icons or different types of frames, I'm going to open up a new document or create a new document. And for now, I'm just going to use an HTML5 canvas document. We'll talk about the different document types as we move on. Right now, it doesn't make a difference really. And the first thing I want to draw your attention to are these frames in the timeline. Now, it's kind of hard to see what's going on down here, so I'm just going to bump up my frame size just a little bit for you. Whenever you create a new document, you start off with one blank keyframe, okay? There's nothing in the timeline in your first layer one. I can't drag the playhead forward at all. I'm sort of just locked there. So what I want to do first is just extend the amount of time that I have to play with while I'm doing this little demo. So we have a frame rate now of 30 frames per second, which means it's going to take 1 second to play through 30 frames. So let's just say that I want an animation that's a second long. I'm going to go out to frame number 30 and I want to add frames to my document. Whenever we see these alternating light and dark gray frames every 5th frame, that tells us we have what we're calling potential frames. All right, they're not yet in our movie or in our document, those frames yet. So I'm going to go to frame number 30 and click. And previously I was showing you to go to Insert Timeline, and maybe we added a keyframe or a frame previously, but that's a lot of distance to travel. So moving on, I'm going to use the right-click context menu. If you have a one-button mouse, you would do a control click, I believe. So I'm just going to go to Insert Frame, and then now what happens is I can now drag from frame 1 all the way to frame 30. So I can put stuff in any one of these frames, I can put keyframes there, but for now I have this wiggle room, if you will. I have 1 second worth of animation or time that I can work with here. Now by just adding that frame, a few different things happen. First, we can now notice that this frame here is a stroked circle, okay, with a hollow center. That means that in frame 1 we have what we're calling a blank keyframe. There is nothing in that frame on that layer. You'll also notice it's subtle, but this span of frames here is no longer light and dark gray alternating every 5th frame. It's just one solid dark gray color, okay? And so this span of frames we're just referring to as regular frames or just frames. Where you see the hollow circle, that's a blank keyframe. Where we have the solid colored gray frames, they're just regular frames. And then we have this other icon here, which is a little bit puzzling. It's this little stroked rectangle. And all that tells us is that the current span of frames is going to end, okay? It's not any different in frame 30 than frame 29. They're all just regular frames, and this is just a visual indicator that the current frame span is going to end, and that's all it does. Now that we've established that I have 30 frames in my movie, and the first frame is a blank keyframe, I'm going to go back to frame 1, and I'm just going to take my brush tool And I'm going to draw a circle on the stage, really rough, okay? So in frame 1, I've drawn a circle. It's hard to tell because the playhead's going through that frame, but I'm going to go forward, and now you'll see that we have a black circle there, and that means that I have a keyframe that has some content on the stage. So let me just select this, and I'm going to delete it, and now you'll see we go back to this hollow circle. So there's a blank keyframe, and as soon as I put something on the stage, boom, it gets filled in, and we have our keyframe. So the first thing I want you to commit to memory about keyframes is that they tell you that something is on the stage in this frame of this layer. So I know in frame number 1, that's a filled in circle, there's something on the stage there. And let's say in frame number 30, I want to move the X over to the right of the stage. So again, my playhead's in frame 30, I'm going to select all the artwork on the X, and I'm going to move it over here. So you may be thinking, all right, I'm in frame 30, the thing is on the right. When I go back to frame 1, it should be on the left. That's not the way it works. Let me do an edit, undo, and let me undo again until the X moves back, all right? So here I am in frame number 1, nothing selected at all. When I go over to frame number 30, and if I select the X, notice that this span of frames get highlighted. This is Animate's way of saying, hey, you know what? Even though your playhead's in frame number 30, you're actually selecting this thing on keyframe number 1. So the rule again here is you can only select objects in a keyframe. So even though the playhead's at frame 30, the last keyframe that has this X in it is way back in 1. And this is a mistake you're probably going to make about 1,000 times, even after you fully understand why it works that way. I still do it to this day sometimes. So if I want to move the X or do anything at all to it in frame number 30, what I need to do is put a keyframe there first. So I'm going to say, let's insert a keyframe. And then now you'll see that we have this solid circle here. It's filled in, all right? So now I can take the X in frame number 30 and I can move it over to here. Now when I go back to frame number 1, that's when the X is to the left, and frame number 30, something else has happened to it. It's moved over to the right. And that brings me to the third rule of keyframes that you should understand. We can do things to objects in a keyframe without affecting other things in other keyframes. All right, so basically when we're in this keyframe here, I can take this X and I can just smush it around, do any kind of weird thing that I want to it, and not affect anything in frame number 1. And likewise, in frame number 1, I could draw a circle here and a circle here, and that's not going to affect anything in frame number 30. So these keyframes sort of lock down what's happening in that particular frame of that particular layer. And next, let's just talk about these regular frames again, okay? The solid span of frames here. So what they mean is that, or what they tell us, is that throughout this span of frames, things from the previous keyframe are staying static for this span. So basically, I can scrub all the way from frame number 1 to frame number 29, and I know that nothing on the stage is going to change. It's all going to look the same. To further illustrate this, I'm going to go to frame number 15. I'm going to right-click and do Insert Keyframe. And another thing I should mention about keyframes is that when we create a new keyframe, it creates an exact duplicate of everything that is on the stage in the previous keyframe. So keyframe 1 and keyframe 15 are identical. Now that I have a keyframe in frame number 15, I can take, everything on the stage. I can move it over here. I can, let me just pick a new color out, just do something really, silly. And we'll use my paintbrush again, draw 2 red circles. So these changes that I made in frame number 15 are not going to affect anything in frame number 1 or frame number 30. So remember, the third rule of keyframes is we can do things to objects in a keyframe without affecting other things in other keyframes. So in frame 15, I can do whatever I want. It's not going to change frame 1 or frame number 30. Now, I was also telling you about these regular frames. They tell us that nothing is going to change here. So as I drag from frame 15 all the way to frame 29, everything on the stage stays exactly the same. When I get to the next keyframe, that tells me, hey, you know what? It's possible something on that frame is going to change, and we get this big mess right here. So I can do stuff on frame number 30 again, and that's not going to affect anything on frame 15 or frame number 1. And let me go back to rule number 2, which is you can only select objects in a keyframe. What does that mean again? If I go to frame number 7 and I try to select this circle and move it over here, notice that I'm actually selecting it in frame 1 because there isn't a keyframe on frame number 7. So when I go back to frame number 1, I don't want to be surprised that this circle here moved. Before I wrap up, let's talk about blank keyframes. And a blank keyframe, again, is that hollow circle, and it tells us that nothing is on the stage in this frame of this layer. So here in frame number 15, I have a keyframe. It has stuff in it. When I click on the frame, it actually selects everything in that frame, and I'm just going to hit delete and get rid of it. And look what happens. You'll see we have the hollow circle here. That means in frame 15, we have a blank keyframe. I can delete things from frame 15, again, without affecting anything on frame number 1. So let's read through this entire timeline. In frame number 1, I have a black dot that tells me I have a keyframe. The frames that follow are all this solid color. That tells me that nothing is going to change as I pull the playhead forward. I'm going to see this rectangle stroke thing here and completely ignore it because it really means nothing, except for telling me that on the next frame something might change because this frame span is ending. And lo and behold, on frame number 15, I have this hollow circle, and that means I have a blank keyframe. Following that, I have another span of frames with a solid background color, which again tells me that nothing is going to change moving forward. The black rectangle I can completely ignore, except for making a mental note of, hey, something might change next. And then I see I have a black circle here, which tells me I have a keyframe that has stuff in it. To wrap up, let's just go over what you need to know about keyframes, all right? A keyframe tells us that there's something on the stage, okay? When you see that black dot, you know that in that frame of that layer, there's something on the stage. One of the rules, as I like to call them, of keyframes is that you can only select objects in a keyframe. So if you have something on the stage and you want to select it and move it around, make sure the playhead is on a keyframe first. I demonstrated a few times what will happen if you don't do that. Next, it's important to know that we can do things to objects in a keyframe without affecting other things in other keyframes. So if you have the playhead over a keyframe and you manipulate an object on the stage there, you're not going to mess up things in other keyframes. And lastly, when you're creating a new keyframe, it creates an exact duplicate of the previous keyframe. And that's something we're going to dive into a little bit more in the next lesson when we build a few keyframed animations. So don't worry, I don't want you writing down all this stuff. I'm going to have this all below the video, and I'm also going to again give you the timeline frame legend. And hopefully by now, all the stuff on this printout makes sense, but again, I suggest that you look it over, study it, and if you have to, you can always watch this video again. But next what I'm going to do is show you how to apply these concepts in a very practical way. We'll be building our first keyframed animations, and it's really going to sink in because you know why? I'm going to keep hammering it until it does. All right? Awesome.